This could end up being a long one. When is it not, though? So strap yourselves in. Before I get on to my MRI experience, I have mail! And my P.O. box finally arrived today. I cannot read it, but it has birdies. Little birdies. And an illustration. Dear, oh dear. Happy New Year and a creative Christmas. I can read that. Yeah. Dear, oh dear. I'm sorry that my camera is not the best. Yeah. What is it? The 6th of January. Okay, so migraine experience. Some of you may have seen on Instagram, I posted this. This is me after I had just come out of the migraine thing and was supposed to get changed and thought, hey, there's a mirror. I will be a narcissist for a moment. But yeah, so first up, the MRI experience itself, and then I'll get into why I've had to have an MRI. Okay, so MRI, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet that will freak you out if you try and look up what an MRI is like. Now, maybe it's different overseas, but I did this in Australia, and I know there are different clinics, but they're probably all gonna be the same, right? I went in, booked in for the next day. They didn't really give me any warnings or anything. It's just like, fill out this form, so includes things like, have you had any surgery? Have you had any metal implants? The only stuff I've had was, some of you have been around long enough to know all the dental work that I've had. I did have a thing in the top of my mouth that was like an anchor sort of thing with a chain to pull down a tooth. I think it's, hey, this one, I don't know. And then I had an anchor plate over here to pull braces around or whatever, and those were both removed like 10 years ago at least. So that's about it. And then, like, you know, have you done welding? I don't remember if I actually did welding at uni or if I just watched or if it was just talked about, but I thought I better write that down. I've definitely done soldering, both in the electronics way of soldering and the jewelry way of soldering. I can't remember if they call it soldering or not, though. Yeah, so, but then did you get any in your eye, any metal in your eye? No, so it's fine. On the internet, though, like, you know, I filled out all that stuff, and then I'm like, should I wear anything? And they're just like, no, it's fine. And, you know, obviously you don't wear any metal. So I left this at home, gave them my glasses, and yeah, changed into that gown, but they, oops, there it is. They said I can leave my t-shirt on because there's no metal in it. Yeah. Put all your stuff in a locker, whatever. But on the internet, when you look up this stuff, people are like, oh, you shouldn't wear certain sun creams, and you shouldn't wear, like, makeup and, like, even eye creams and stuff. And I'm just like, I wasn't given any warnings about that, so, and I don't wear makeup anyway, so I don't worry about it. I did have sun cream on, I did do my usual, like, eye cream, and yeah, totally fine. I don't know. There's no problem with it. Don't freak out. They will tell you what you need to be aware of. So yeah, don't worry about the internet. And you do have a thing that you can squeeze in there to alert them if you're having a problem anyway, which I didn't need to use. So yeah, I booked in yesterday, was in there today, watched a bit of Colbert on their TV in the waiting room because they were running behind, and then yeah, went in, changed, put all my stuff in the locker, and then they took me in, and you lie down on the thing, and she was saying, so she gave me the earplugs, and she's like, do you know how to use earplugs? I'm like, yeah, I'm a musician, like, I have them in my bag all the time. And then gave me some headphones and was like, yeah, probably gonna play some, like, daggy music. And I said, do you have any metal? And she's like, oh, you don't mean like the, you know, Cookie Monster, death metal kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'll totally go for that. And she was like, okay. Well, no guarantees, but we'll see what we can do. And, you know, I also mentioned, like, you know, I do those vocals, and did a quick demonstration, and the two ladies were just like, oh. And the usual questions, doesn't that hurt your throat? And as I'm lying down, I'm like, no, it's just the anatomy that you use for clearing your throat, so it's not my real voice, it's fine. Yeah. And then they, you know, they're like, hold this, squeeze it if you have a problem. yeah, those are all the things. And then as I lie down just before I go in, they put an extra contraption over the top of my head, which helps with taking the photos, they said, and then you slide into the thing. The one advice the internet gives that I think was good is to close your eyes as you're going in, so then you don't ever see any of the possible claustrophobic things. Now, I don't get claustrophobia, but I thought, just in case, because it's been a while since I've done anything like this, and I've probably watched too many caving gone wrong videos on YouTube, so yeah, close my eyes as I went in. Now, this is where stuff gets a little bit weird for me. When I was doing all that dental stuff way back, I do remember I had like a CT scan. I don't know if they called them CAT scans back then, just of my jaw. When I was in that, I had the sensation of, like, while it was taking all the photos, of, like, being really high in the air, like the whole machine was floating. This time, not exactly in the air, but, like, you know how, like, it's a donut tube, and you slide in straight. But as they were sliding me in, and I closed my eyes, and you start hearing the machine noises, even though you have earplugs and headphones to try and block it all out, I had this strange sensation of, like, yes, I'm lying back, but instead of going straight back, I was sort of going in a curve like this, and I felt like I was on a Disneyland ride, like, this is probably just peculiar to me, but that's, like, I had that feeling, like, do you know Disneyland, they have those kind of boat rides, the very slow, like, It's a Small World, they have that constantly singing. It was kind of like that, but backwards and lying down. And then the noises in the machine start, and my mind is coming up with, like, roller coaster type sounds, especially the ones where it's less about the speed of the roller coaster, but it's more about, like, the animatronics and the atmosphere. And then, you know, like, in my ears, it tells me, okay, this scan is gonna take 1 minute. This scan's gonna take 2 minutes. Yeah, so it, like, told me, and then I would know that the noises were about to start. And the first noise is like, I don't know, you see on TV, and the noises are all like, bong, 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 and it doesn't change. But this one, like, it started with a couple of just bangs that were kind of slow, and then it did some that were a little bit faster, but then it started to get really interesting, and I don't know, like, maybe it's because I'm a musician who's into industrial music, but I actually thought a lot of the sounds it was making were quite musical. I can't remember how many different sounds there were, because I was also, like, distracted by the sensation of it being like a roller coaster ride. And then they finally changed the old-fashioned, like, almost, I don't know if it was Elvis or something from that era. They changed that to what they found of some kind of death metal. I don't know where they looked it up from. And it sounded like really old school death metal. Did have growls, but it was like, yeah, I don't know, sounded like it was from the 80s or something, or not exactly my type of metal, but better than the other stuff. But you could barely hear it over the sound of the machine anyway. It was just like an extra thing to sort of listen to, so at least I'm not getting bored in there. But yeah, so I still had the sensation of, like, being in the roller coaster ride, but I guess, like, probably, because I wasn't watching what was going on, probably when I physically stopped, because it does slide you in, and I think it maybe slides you back and forward at some points, I don't know. Yeah, at some point, I think I must have stopped, and then they did some stationary scans, and yeah, I started paying more attention to the rhythms of the machine, and, like, the machine actually counts in, like, 4/4, or, like, counts of 8 if you're more into the dance way, it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, and there were ones that were like, there was this one that was like, had pitch changes, bee boo bee boo bee boo bee boo boo bee boo bee boo bee kind of things, and then there was another one where it was more of like a constant brrr, but I could hear, like, kind of the overtone in there. So, like, it had the brrr, but it also had a more of a, like, almost a sine tone about it, and this is just, like, my whole brain nerding out on the audio aspects of it. It wasn't too loud with all the hearing protection, but yeah, it did drown out the music, and just, yeah, the rhythm of it. And then there were more rattly ones. There were also ones that, like, seemed to vibrate the whole thing that I was lying on. I don't know what you call it. The whole thing that I was lying on at some points vibrated, and yeah, then my mind went back to the roller coaster thing, and it was like reminded me of when you're getting to the top of the roller coaster, and it's sort of getting into that clanky, 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 clanky as you're going up, 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 up. And I don't know, it was so bizarre. And then I think towards the end, I had a sensation of moving forward, but maybe that was the machine actually moving forward. But then when they did the last scan, and I finally came out, the machine hadn't pushed me all the way out. The lady had to slide me out the rest of the way. And so I did open my eyes when there was still a bit of machine there, but it was fine. Because I could see the outside. It was just like maybe I was that far into the machine. And then when she pulled me out, it turned out I was actually quite high. So the CT scan, I thought I was in the air, but when I got up, I was on the ground. And then I came out of this machine and I was actually pretty high up, and she had to lower me down, and I was like, oh, okay. She said that like the CT, you do go up, but this was like, I don't know, 15, maybe 15, almost 20 years ago, probably, that I did the CT. So, I don't know if the machines are different, and I did it somewhere else in the city. Yeah, so it was a really interesting experience. And she asked me, like, how was the music? And I'm like, oh, I couldn't hear much of it, but the machine is very musical. And, I was like, oh, and it's counting in 4/4. And I think she must have thought I was just batshit crazy. But I am. And so... I don't know, that was my experience. And so when I came out, I was like, that was actually fun. I actually kind of enjoyed the MRI thing. And it didn't feel like it took that long. Like, she said, oh, it's going to take like 15 minutes, which isn't too bad, but it didn't really feel like 15 minutes, probably because I was just so fascinated by the experience I was having. Anyway, so she probably thought I was completely nuts, which is funny because they were scanning my brain, and so they're probably like, why is this chick getting her brain scanned? Now, okay, into some questions. That's my experience of the MRI. It was so not a big deal. And then, I had taken all my migraine meds along, which I haven't told you about the migraines, but we'll get to that. I took them all along just in case, and I didn't need them. I have had, like, small headaches today. And, in the afternoon, sometime after the MRI, my right ear did get the tiniest bit of a tinnitus, kind of, high-pitched noise, just for a few moments, and then it was gone. It was, I think that's just my head being stupid rather than the MRI being an issue. So that was really good. I no problems at all. Now, why did we do an MRI instead of a CT? As Mad Simple noticed in the picture I posted in my community post, which I haven't set up here because I didn't think of it until now. The CT scan, I did get a form for that. In Australia, I think CT scans are covered under Medicare a lot more than MRIs are. So my MRI scan today was not covered by Medicare, and so it did cost a few hundred. The doctor really didn't want me to use the CT scan thing. Like, she had given it to me at a previous appointment, saying, like, if things get worse, or this and this happens, then yes, go and get the CT scan. But she didn't want me to get it because of a radiation risk. Now, the risk is pretty small, but she's like, because you're so young, and it's your brain, and I'm like, well, I'm not that young, but whatever. Yeah, she didn't want me to take that risk, especially since we don't really know what's going on with me. So MRI preferable, just costs a bit, which is unfortunate, but I don't know how the system works here. I have heard that, like, they actually cost the same, so I don't know why it wouldn't be covered under Medicare if that's the case, but whatever. No CT scan because of radiation issues. CT is supposed to take less time, and maybe be less claustrophobic, and then people who have metal implants probably can't do the MRI. So, like, there are reasons to do a CT. They can sedate you for an MRI if it's really a problem, but just close your eyes, it's fine. Don't open them. Actually, a few more things about my experience while I was in there. I think the hardest thing for me was just keeping still. Like, it's fine to keep still, but because I was conscious of the need to keep still, anytime it's like, okay, this scan will take this amount of time, then I would sort of like go into, okay, gotta make sure I stay still, and then the noises would start, and when the noises stopped, I knew it would stop scanning, so I could relax. but then my body would tense up again, and it's just like one of these reflexive things. I do it at the dentist as well, like just lying in the chair and, you know, not forgetting to relax my body because I'm too focused on whatever else is going on. And yeah, there were a few times where, like, especially at the very start, I don't know if it was the sounds or what, but like my eyes felt like they were sort of doing something. But that settled down as I relaxed into it, or maybe it was a different scan, and maybe it was different sounds that were making me feel a bit funny. Anything else? Not really. It was pretty fine. Yeah. So the hardest thing is just making sure I stay still, and the psychological aspect of that for me. Okay, so why am I getting the scan? Migraines. But you know, what's causing the migraines? We don't know. Few theories. Well, did I talk about last year? I wore my yellow wig. I'm sure I posted about it on like Instagram or something. I wore my yellow cyber wig and to an event, and then by the time I got home, I had really bad headache to the point that, like, after I had taken it off and thought that would help, I actually threw up and had a terrible time. And then later I wore my red cyber wig to an event, and I only lasted an hour before I had to go home, take it off, and just rest. And I didn't throw up, but I was okay. And I eventually found out that I was having migraines. The first doctor that I saw was not my regular doctor, and she was trying to tell me that they're like cheap Chinese cosplay wigs, and I'm like, no. They're both from Europe, and they're like custom made. Well, my red one's custom made and the other one's handmade, and like, you know, the chances of these being a chemical thing, I don't think so. But, you know, and then she wanted to just pump me full of vitamins, and that really did not make any difference to my life. And then I eventually got around to see my regular doctor, and you know, like, I think we've discussed it in the past, but with migraines, generally they're on one side and they throb. I don't get the throbbing though. I do seem to get the headaches mostly on this side, but they're just kind of constant. They're not like a throbbing or anything. And I don't see anything. I don't get an aura, so I get no warning either. And in the past, when I've looked at like what is a migraine, it just hasn't seemed like what I'm experiencing. But eventually with my regular doctor, we worked out it probably is migraines, because you know, like, I could take all the Panadol and Nurofen and nothing was helping to ease the headaches. So the fact that nothing regular was helping gave us a hint. She did put me onto Panadol Extra, which has caffeine in it, not just the paracetamol. So then if I take Panadol Extra and then also the Nurofen, the ibuprofen, you know, the caffeine makes the Panadol and the Nurofen work better. So that was a fun thing that I learned, and now I don't have to feel guilty about my tea habit because it might actually be helping me. I drink fairly weak tea anyway. Yeah, and so then, you know, she put me onto the Max Out, which is a rescue medication. So once a migraine starts, you're meant to take it as soon as possible, and then it, like, I think it narrows your blood vessels, so it stops the inflammation that causes the pain, or the pressure that causes the pain. I don't know, something like that. And yeah, but then at some point last year, I had 3 days. Was it 3 days of migraines, or was it that I had to take the Max Out 3 times before the migraines went away? I don't know. Like, when you take it, you're supposed to only take it once per headache. But if then the headache comes back, you can take another one, but you can only take 3 in 24 hours, at least at the dose that I'm on. And I did try a lower dose, but I don't think it did anything. It just made me pee a lot. That's the problem with it, like, squeezing your blood vessels closed, is like this is what as I understand, what I've tried to work out, your blood can't hold as much moisture, so you just pee it all out. That sucks. Yeah, so you want to get the headache benefit, not just take one and just end up peeing a lot. So anyway, yeah, no, I had to take the Max Out 3 times, and then she's like, you know, like, the headache would go away, but then it would come back. And then my doctor thought, oh, it's not strong enough to really, like, kill the headache part of the migraine. So she put me on Rel packs, which at a very, I think at like the maximum dose. And then when I took that the first time, oh my God, like the max out knocks me around. And so I do need to lie down. I think most of the time that I've taken it, I've needed to lie down. So I think the first time I took the Rel packs, I took it before bed, and I thought it would help me sleep, but that made me pee even more. Like every hour I had to get up to pee, and I'm like, surely there's no more moisture left in me, but there was the whole night. So yes, it killed the headache, but I got no sleep, and I was probably super dehydrated at the end. So once I finally stopped peeing everything out of me, I went onto the Hydrolyte to just get my fluids back up. Oh my God. So I didn't want to take that. I've only taken it once more since then, and just been like, and that was another horrible experience. So I'm just like, okay, that stuff is way too strong for me, and yeah, I don't want to take it. Now, one of the problems with all these rescue medications is like, because my migraines don't present in a normal way, I don't necessarily know when I'm going to get, when a headache is actually a migraine and not just a headache, and also when that migraine is going to be bad enough to warrant treatment, because it's just the way I'm experiencing them is super weird. And, you know, if I take the migraine meds, they're pretty much guaranteed to mess me up. Whereas if it's just a headache, I might be okay. So in the probabilities of like the cost benefit thing, it's not really worth it to me to take the migraine meds if I'm not 100% sure it's a migraine. But I'm only 100% sure it's a migraine when it's bad, and at that point, it's a bit late for the medication to really work. So that's the thing that I've had a lot of trouble working out. But, you know, like in the middle of the year, in the middle of 2025, I was doing okay. You know, I still had the occasional migraine, but, you know, I really got into shape for my gig, and, you know, somehow, oh my God, me with a deadline, scary. The amount of health stuff that I was doing and exercise, and like, I couldn't keep it up after the gig. It was just too much. Anyway, so I don't know, maybe some of that stuff helped. It just wasn't sustainable to be that level of on top of everything. Yeah, so, after the gig, I did okay as far as migraines are concerned, and I'll get to other health issues in a moment, but as far as migraines are concerned, I was doing pretty okay until I think the 13th of December, and that's when I had like 4 days of migraine. I think I did take the max out maybe on day 1, I'm not sure, and like it did ease off the headache, but then the next day I would have another migraine. And then I think on day 3, I took the Rel packs. That's probably the other time I took the Rel packs. And yeah, it knocked me out. I had to pee a lot. And then I had a migraine the day after as well. And it's just like, even the Rel packs didn't kill this run of migraines. So, you know, I went and got a massage. Because I thought, even if my head feels horrible, at least my body can feel okay. And the thing is, with the migraines as well, unless they're really horrific, I can actually push through most of them. So yeah, as well with this medication stuff, like if I take the medication, I'm definitely fucked. I have to lie down. But if I just have the migraine, I can still function to some degree. It's hard to focus, but I can get a lot more done. So that's another thing that puts me off taking the medication. So yeah, day 4, I'm like, nothing's working. I think I had also taken, you know, the Panadol extras and Nurophens, and just nothing was working. So yeah, I went and got myself a massage, managed to walk the whole way despite having the migraine. Massage was, it was fine. Like, you know, it was only a 45-minute one, and it wasn't one of their proper remedial people, but it was the only one I could get on short notice. So yeah, helped loosen up, because with this latest run of migraines, it would just tighten all the muscles on this side of my body, upper body up. So like, you know, my back, shoulders, neck, jaw, everything just sort of tightens up. It's horrible. So yeah, I went and got the massage to loosen that all up. I wonder if maybe that helped chill out the migraine, because the next day I was actually okay. I think I've been keeping notes. Some of the days that I've been okay, I've still had like headaches, but they felt more like normal headaches as opposed to migraine headaches. So yeah, I was doing a lot better the next day. Was it because of the massage? I'm not sure. The only problem is then my hip went out, because I don't know, she was telling me that I have scoliosis, and I'm like, I don't think so. It's probably just like, she had moved me around on the thing, and maybe I was just lying at an awkward angle. I don't know. And she was sort of poking around at my hips, and yeah, my left hip decided to be in pain for like 2 weeks. If I was sitting or lying down and then tried to stand up, I would suddenly get a pain that made it really hard to put weight on it, and I had to wait for like 10 seconds before that pain would go away. I eventually figured out exercises to sort that out, but part of the problem is the first 4 days of migraine, I think I didn't do my night stretches. You guys know about my night stretch routine, and some of those night stretches are specifically for hips, especially when you're sitting at the computer a lot. I've noticed that the dynamic stretches, the kick stretches in particular, they help me not have shit hips. And so I think that the lack of those exercises for a few days, because I was feeling so unwell, plus the massage being a little bit weird, kind of messed up my hip, and that went on for almost 2 weeks. It was a different sort of problem. And I had to sit in specific ways to stop the pain, and oh my god, anyway. So I think I had maybe like 3 days where I was okay, and then another 3 days of migraine, and then I had maybe 2 days of being okay, and then another couple days of migraine. And it's sort of just been like, in the past, since that time, I've pretty much had more days of migraine than I've had of okay days. And yeah, eventually I went and saw not my usual doctor, a doctor I've been seeing for different issues that I'll get to in a moment. She put me on antidepressants. I can't remember if I wrote something about that here or if I only put it on Instagram. Because last year, my regular doctor put me on propranolol. I think I mentioned that as a preventative for migraines, but I already have low blood pressure, and that's a beta blocker. It made my blood pressure even lower, so I had to stop taking that. I've already tried Endep, the usual tricyclic antidepressant they would prescribe for migraine prevention. So yeah, we didn't even bother trying that, because I've had it before for depression, and it was not good, and I don't want to be on it again. So I think with my regular GP, I started doing better, and then I started seeing this other doctor for other issues. So yeah, we didn't really do much more for the migraines with my regular doctor. This doctor put me on nortriptyline. I think the brand name is Allegrin, and it's also a tricyclic antidepressant, but it's supposed to be better tolerated. I managed to be on it for 5 days. On the 5th day, I had a really bad chemical depression. If you guys remember when I was on Claritine and discovered that histamines are a neurotransmitter, and messing with them can give you chemical depression. Yeah, I got that with the nortriptyline, which, yes, it's meant to be an antidepressant, but antidepressants come with black box warnings, because for some people they can increase depression and certain thoughts. And yes, I'm outside the age range, and apparently this particular drug affects males, like can make them 10 times worse. Yes, I am not those demographics, but the fact that they're possible, not a great sign. So I had to stop taking it. I went and saw the pharmacist. The pharmacist said, yeah, the local pharmacy, they see me constantly at the moment, because I'm just always picking up stuff, and I bring my dog in sometimes. So they know what I'm normally like. And with my dog has really helped me socialize locally. So these guys are used to me seeing me in a much better state. And I went in there, and when I told them, like, hey, I'm taking this medication, I think it's given me a chemical depression, and I started tearing up. Me tearing up in public, not usually a thing. And so the pharmacist is like, yeah, you should probably stop taking it, and if you've only been on it for 5 days at 10 milligrams, lowest dose possible, it's fine to stop taking them. You shouldn't get any withdrawal. So I stopped taking them. I think the Saturday, and like while I was on this drug, I would either have headaches, not migraine level, but they were still headaches. I would either have headaches or I would be feeling depressed, because there were other days where no headache, but I did feel depressed, or maybe both. So yeah, I slept terribly. I got, for 5 hours sleep is the most I could get on nortriptyline, so that sucked, especially when you're trying not to have migraines. Like, it's kind of the opposite. But anyway, I didn't have migraines while I was on them. They're not supposed to work that fast, but I am super sensitive to all this stuff, so maybe it already had started to work. I think the first day that I stopped taking them, I really didn't sleep well. And there was also a storm that came through. And then when I did sleep, I had some really crazy dreams. And I think I had crazy dreams when I napped. And then what day even was that? I'm just trying. I might have to look at my notes because I'm sort of losing track of when I stopped taking them. Yeah, so what was the third? The third was the Saturday. Okay, yeah, so that day that I stopped taking, like the day after, because you're supposed to take it at night, so yeah, the day after I stopped taking them, that was Sunday. Oh shit, was that Sunday? And today's Tuesday? Yeah, my sense of time is all messed up. Days are just so long, everything feels like it happened so long ago. Anyway, yeah, the day after I stopped taking them, I had like the worst migraine probably of my life, or at least since I threw up after that wig incident. You know, like earlier in the day, I just had a mild headache and I thought, oh, it's fine. And then later it turned into the type of migraine that I can push through. But then around dinner time, I started to get the nausea. I managed to get through dinner and eat it. I didn't bother with any painkillers because I thought it's fine, there's no point. But after dinner, I was in a really bad way. Like, I had to sit on the floor to try not to throw up, and I had to get a cloth with some ice and like make my own ice pack because Dad accidentally threw it out with the old fridge, like our old ice packs, and I'm like, really well done, mate. So we don't have any ice packs. I had to make one with a cloth. And I had to have that on my head, and then I was like, shit, this is actually a really bad migraine. So I took the max out. I thought about taking the Panadol and Nurofen, but because I felt like throwing up, even taking a sip of water, I felt like throwing up. Whereas the max out, it's a little wafer thing that just dissolves on your tongue. So it's not something, it's fine. It's much easier to take than actual pills. So yeah, I took the max out, and it's like, suppose it can kick in after 30 minutes and should resolve things after 2 hours. But I was in such a state that my mum almost took me to hospital. But I was like, no, let's wait for the meds to kick in, and we'll see how I go, and I'll just have the ice pack. Because, you know, going to hospital, going to emergency, it sucks. Like, you have to wait so long. And like, what if I went and then the meds kicked in, and then it's like, why did we bother coming? So yeah, I thought I'd wait. I think at some point I managed to crawl back into bed, you know, managing my dog's, I dare not say his name because I don't want him to wake up, but, you know, managing my dog's night routine. Yeah, I managed to get into bed and have him, you know, in the bathroom. But yeah, I was still really bad when Mum came and checked on me, and I'm like, you know, after an hour taking the max out, and like, oh, you know, it could take until 2 hours, so, you know, we'll just keep waiting. And it was almost 3 hours before I could function enough to take my dog to bed, refill my ice thing, and then finally be able to take, I think I took a Panadol Extra, a regular Panadol, and 2 Nurofens. Why only 1 Panadol Extra instead of 2? Because I wanted to sleep. Like, it's caffeine. I don't want to have too much caffeine, but I want to have a bit in there to try and make everything work better. So I took all that, refilled my ice, went to bed, tossed and turned, and I think because I'm so muddled, my memory was it was either like 1:30 or 3:30 when I was finally migraine free, and it was just like, it was such a horrible ordeal. yeah, you know, having to wait 3 hours just for the nausea to, like, the headache was still there, but just for the nausea to back off enough that I could take the rest of the pain meds and really, like, knock this down, that's pretty poor. And then even when like, the next day, I was still dizzy and fatigued and just not well at all. I was really, I thought, like, I still had nausea, so I did manage to walk my dog. We went very slowly. And I thought maybe the fresh air would help, but no, it didn't. I actually felt more exhausted. So yeah, I had, like, you know, when I first woke up yesterday morning, I called my medical practice to book in, and, like, you know, just made my most pathetic sounds over the phone to make sure they knew it was serious. So yeah, by the time my appointment, you know, they managed to fit me in. By the time my appointment came around, Mum had to drive me because I was just in no state to walk yesterday. And yeah, she was really good. Yeah. So, the doctor has now given me somewhere around here, I've got some anti-nausea medication, which I haven't taken yet. But, like, if this happens again, where I have a really bad migraine with really bad nausea, all I have to do is get the nausea meds down, or maybe half a tablet. As long as I can get down, supposedly in 15 to 20 minutes, the nausea should go away enough that I can take the Max Out, the Panadol Extra, and the Nurofen all at once and just knock it out in one go rather than having to wait 3 hours. That's the idea behind that. So I haven't had to do it yet because it's only been like a day, but that was the plan. And then we were talking about, you know, the CT MRI thing. And yeah, because, I mean, the doctor knows that I'm not able to work, so she's worried about the cost of things. But, you know, Mum's like, no, we'll pay for it if it's too much. So yeah, then I got the MRI referral. Mum walked me to the place because it's pretty close to where my doctors are. We booked in straight away, and then today, actually, I've been okay. Cross fingers. I've had small headaches. And I have felt a little bit lightheaded, and when I was playing with the dog this morning, I did run out of puff pretty quickly. So yeah, I did, even though I felt okay, I made sure I had a nap in the middle of the day, just to take it easy, you know, 'cause sometimes I push through and sometimes I think, and then I have to crash in the afternoon anyway, or maybe I get a migraine. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't have any known triggers for the migraines. Maybe it's just lack of sleep, or maybe it's just bad luck, or maybe there's something wrong with my brain. So yeah, we've scanned that now. So that's that. And we've also got too many referrals for things. So let me tell you about my other medical issue that we've been working on this year. So, and this is how I ended up with the new doctor. So, you know, previously, like, I get a lot of mouth ulcers, right? And previously I've looked at it with my regular doctor, and also, like, in the past, I don't know, was I already back on YouTube? When I was at art school, I remember I had a really bad flare-up with mouth ulcers, and then there was another occasion I had a really bad flare-up with mouth ulcers, and I think both times, one time I had to be on steroids for it, and another time I had to do, like, pain-killing mouthwashes, because both times they're like, if you aren't able to start eating and drinking more by the end of whenever, you need to go to hospital. So I was like, okay. So, like, that's how bad those mouth ulcer incidents were. One I thought was triggered by this SM33 gel, which is supposed to be good for the pain, but I think I had a reaction to it and it was causing more mouth ulcers. The other time, I thought I was just sick. But then since then, I think I've had mouth ulcers a lot in the past, but because I've had so much dental and orthodontic kind of stuff going on, in the past I thought it was just braces. Because, you know, there's metal in your mouth scratching everything up, but I've still had mouth ulcers. And I'm now at a point where if I can get 2 days without a mouth ulcer, that's like amazing. So that's how bad they are. And my regular doctor, like, you know, we've done more swabs, and nothing ever shows up. And she's like, it's probably just stress. And I'm like, just stress. What is the stress triggering? Anyway, so before my gig, you know, I knew I had the gig. I think this is around, like, I got the gig around August, and then in September, you know, getting ready for it, and the gig's in October. In September, I had another flare-up of mouth ulcers, and I do get other symptoms that sometimes coincide, like skin things. At the moment, I've actually got one like this rash down here. Oh, you can see a little bit there. That's actually where I had my tick bite, like in the year 2000, I think. And that mark stayed a long time. I don't think it's related though. I think this one might actually be metal allergy from my dog walking pants, because there are some buttons, and I actually sewed over, oh, I don't even know where I put them. I sewed a panel over some of them. I need to do my jeans still, but my more summery ones, I've sewn a panel on it. So I think that's helping, and I have to put Dermade on, which is a corticosteroid. That seems to be the only thing that calms it down. So yeah, like I get these things, and then with the mouth ulcers, the only thing that works is Kenalog, which also has a corticosteroid in it. So it's like all these steroid things I'm having to put on these different issues. Yeah, so sometimes it's just the mouth ulcers, sometimes it's a bunch of things at once. So I was having one of those bigger flare-ups, and I thought, you know what, maybe if we swab it when it's really bad, if there's something there, it might show up. So, yeah, I was having this big flare-up. My regular doctor wasn't available, so I called up and I'm like, hey, I'm having this, I need to get it swabbed, put me in with the first doctor you've got. Went in, and then this new doctor did the swab, and I don't know if it was at that appointment or at a subsequent appointment, but at some point she gave me a self-swab to do, to try and get the timing right as well. But yeah, with that first swab, and when she looked at me, she's like, I think this is a virus, because like there's so many things that can cause stuff, but the fact that I'm having them recurring and other symptoms flaring up sounds like a virus, right? So she did the swab, sent it off, but was like, look, I'm so confident that this is a virus, I'm going to give you the antivirals to take, and we'll get the results back, and we'll see how the things are going. If the antivirals clear it up, that tells you, and you can just take that and it'll be fine. Swab came back negative, as usual, and the antivirals didn't really do anything. Like, I thought maybe it helped a little bit, but I was still getting more mouth ulcers, so maybe I was just being optimistic. So I went back to her, following up from the swab, and I'm like, yeah, because I wasn't sure how well the antivirals were meant to work. And yeah, so when I went back and said, hey, yeah, like I think they got better, but I'm still getting mouth ulcers, she's like, yeah, no, that means they're not working. So yeah, and then since then, I think this doctor, like, what I really like is I think she's gotten really invested in trying to work out what is going on, because like, yeah, my regular doctor is like, it's just stress. My regular doctor though, I think she's seen me a little bit too long. Like, she knows I have mental illness, but she also still thinks that I don't eat enough. And like, yeah, I went through periods of time where I didn't eat very well. Some of that was because I was on antidepressants that were destroying my appetite. But I was a picky eater when I was younger, so I don't think she realizes that once I came off the antidepressants, I actually started eating better. And over the years, I've like I eat sashimi now. I never used to eat sashimi. I know that's embarrassing as a half Japanese, but yeah, I never used to eat raw fish. And then these days, I think during COVID, I just suddenly started eating it, and Mum was very disappointed because she used to steal mine all the time. And then suddenly I'm trying to fight her off with my chopsticks. So yeah, my regular doctor doesn't realize the ways that I've changed. Maybe because I just changed chaotically like that. So yeah, like she still thinks, I think sometimes she thinks that diet is the issue, but my diet is better than people think. Like, people are so used to past me that they don't realize that now me doesn't have the same issues. I don't know if that's a dissociative thing or if it's just me getting older or what, or am I don't know. It's, the way I change is confusing. Anyway, so yeah, whereas this new doctor doesn't have any of the preconceptions that I'm crazy or that I don't eat. And yeah, like she was so confident with the virus theory. So being shown that it's not a virus, she's now like, oh, okay. And like she also was good in validating me, saying, yeah, that is not normal. Stress, okay, but what is it triggering? And like constant mouth ulcers, not normal. And like, I'm not even constantly stressed in that way. Like, yes, I do live in a stressful situation, but it fluctuates. And the mouth ulcers don't really follow the patterns of my stress, like the levels of my stress, as far as I'm aware. Like, anyway, so yeah, she sent me off to so many blood tests. Was that her? I think I've done blood tests with my regular doctor last. I don't know. I'm confused about when I did blood tests, but I think I've done at least maybe a couple with this doctor. I don't know. But one of the blood tests she sent me off for, like, it was a really full-on one. They took 4 vials. One of the vials, it looked like they were putting it in a water bath straight after they took it. Tested me for so many things. The only things that came back this time, inflammation. Maybe it was my other doctor who did the other blood tests. And like every blood test, inflammation comes back. Usually nothing else. On this particular test, there were a few things that, you know, inconclusive and only mildly off. And the only thing that was a little bit more concerning was some mild anemia. So since then, I've had another blood test form to go and take in and, you know, just check that the anemia is okay, check my iron levels and all that, and also the inflammation again. But yeah, the main pattern is like my inflammation, the results from last year, it looks like I did 3 blood tests. I can't remember. I've had too many needles, too much blood taken out of me. Yeah, my inflammation has actually gotten worse every blood test I've had last year. As far as like if I'm interpreting it correctly, and then every other blood test almost that I've had in the past has shown high inflammation. Now that could just be because I'm doing blood tests when I'm unwell, or when I've got like, you know, inflammation, it's such a vague result. But yeah, last year they've just sort of gotten worse, and it's like, I wonder, it's going to be interesting to see this next blood test, like, is that a pattern? Anyway, so, yeah, this doctor, I think in the end, I can't even remember everything that's happened, but in the end, she's decided to refer me to specialists to try and figure out what is going on with these mouth ulcers. What the heck? And the you know, is the inflammation, we're thinking maybe an autoimmune issue. I think her best guess, and like the best guess I came across, like when I talked to my regular doctor, I had thought like, could it be like Addison's, an adrenaline thing, like something that I need steroids for, because that's what's working on the mouth ulcers and the skin thing. Yeah, or, you know, but like, you know, there's other things that like just don't match. But on the other hand, what if I'm at the very start and I've just got mild symptoms and maybe it's going that way? Who knows? But yeah, my regular doctor was like, nah, don't think so. But this doctor, her best guess, and at this point my best guess as well, was Behçet's. But I don't have the eye symptoms. I as far as I know anyway. I mean, I already have short sight, but that's nothing new. So yeah, that's the closest we can think of, but it doesn't really match either. So yeah, it's sort of it is a bit of a house episode in a way. It's just I haven't been in the hospital and poked and prodded, because thankfully I'm not that bad yet. But she has tested me for lupus. It's not lupus. It's never lupus, except that one time it was, but it's not in this case. So I have been tested for that before anyone cracks that joke. Yeah, but so she's referred me to a rheumatologist, but also a gastroenterologist, because apparently mouth ulcers can be a gastro issue. And I do have, like, my digestion's weird, and it doesn't, like, there's no pattern that I can see. I mean, probably there are things in my diet that I could do better. It's hard when I'm unwell to focus on specifically what to eat, so it's just like, sometimes it's just a matter of making sure I eat it all, because I can have low appetite. But I think generally, like, my appetite has gradually gotten better, and my digestion's still weird. I even for a while tried Benefiber, which is like this really easy to take fiber supplement. Didn't make any difference. I didn't notice anything. I don't know if that's because the product is not as good as it claims to be. I can't really do the psyllium husk Metamucil thing, because it makes me feel, ugh. It doesn't feel good. So yeah, like, even adding the fiber supplement didn't help. Maybe it's not the best one. I don't know, but there could be something gastro-related going on there. She sent in those 2 referrals, I think, in November. going through the public system because she's so perplexed by what's going on with me that she's like, okay, we could just send you to a private specialist, but they might not find anything, so that's hundreds of dollars, and they still might not know, so better to just go through the public system, get it covered by Medicare, and yeah, not waste the money if it turns out that they have no idea. So that means it's going to take forever to get anything back. Now, I've already heard back about the gastro because the particular hospital that I've been referred to, turns out they don't actually do the gastro service that I need. So that referral has gone nowhere, but we're pretty sure it's probably autoimmune, so we're still waiting to hear back from the rheumatologist. So that's the original referrals I've got. And then when I tried the antidepressant, and then I had that terrible migraine coming off it. Now, is it a withdrawal migraine? I think it might be withdrawal symptoms, but everyone, like, you know, the pharmacist said, oh, you haven't been on it long enough. And then when I saw the doctor, she's like, 5 days at the lowest dose. It doesn't seem like it's withdrawal, but she's like anything's possible, but it really shouldn't be like that. But then me knowing my history, I have had withdrawal from, you know, SSRIs in the past. I don't know, I'm sensitive to stuff. It could have been a withdrawal. I hope it's a withdrawal migraine, and maybe I won't get it again that bad now that I've gotten past it. But it could also just be an escalation of the migraine issues that I've been having. Oh. Someone would like some attention. I've been talking for too long, haven't I? Yeah, I'm distracted now. But yeah, so that was, oh wow, that was yesterday that I saw the doctor. So yesterday, because the migraines are getting so bad, and they've been ruining my life because I'm struggling to do anything. I'm in bed so much and in pain so much. He's so adorable. He just sits like that. You don't have to do that. Come here, sweetie. Yeah, just lie down, relax. You're all right. Oh my god. Yeah. Where was I? No, these migraines, like migraines almost every day. Couldn't take the antidepressant. Yeah. It's ruining my life, so this has now become the priority. So she's also referred me to a neurologist, but through the same public system for now. But if anything shows up on the MRI, I mean, I have a feeling it won't, because I came out of the MRI and they didn't say anything, whereas the lady before me, there was an elderly lady who I saw before me, and someone was talking to her about how she had a fracture and they were going to fast track or whatever. So they didn't give me any kind of talk like that, so I'm assuming my scans were normal, and if not, it would be some very small thing that a trained radiologist would have to find, so it's probably not serious. So I don't think I'm going to end up fast-tracked. But if they found anything, maybe they would. Or maybe the doctor would be like, you should go private, it's worth the money. But yeah, otherwise we're going through the public system, so that's going to be however long, depending on, you know, how urgently I get triaged. And I think because I'm not actually dying, as far as we know, I don't seem to be dying, yeah, I think I'm going to be waiting like 6 months or so. Same thing for the rheumatology. She sent in a follow-up referral saying, hey, we haven't heard since this date in November. And then she gave me some phone numbers to harass for when I'm just feeling up to it. Today's the first day that I've been feeling well in a while, so don't know how long that's going to last. And I've just been trying to do, I mean, I had to go to the MRI. I had to go and buy a whole bunch of stuff that I wasn't able to buy because I wasn't well enough to leave the house much. So, yeah, like, you know, my different, I had to get my script that I put in on Saturday, and for the contraceptive pill for my period, because I don't want to get periods. Although I did read one thing where the contraceptive pill that I'm on they think can cause some brain things, and if it turns out you have that, you have to stop taking that pill. And I'm a bit scared because I did try taking a different pill and I didn't do well on it, so it'll suck if I have to stop taking the pill. But anyway, because, yeah, I can't function on periods, maybe they could just take take the offending organ out and get rid of it, because I'm not going to have kids. I've got a floof. I don't need kids. And I'm older than people think, so just get rid of it. Get rid of it. Anyway, wow. This is turning it, oh my god, we're almost up to an hour. But yeah, so, I don't know. Hopefully I hear back from the rheumatology guys soon, because like it's supposed to be 1 to 4 weeks and they're supposed to get back to you and then tell you when your appointment will be. And then, you know, maybe it'll be another 1 to 4 weeks before I hear back from neurology. Unless something shows on my scan and they can get me in sooner, but I suspect I'm going to be waiting 6 months for both referrals before I find out, unless my health gets significantly worse. And, you know, the increase in migraines did only start, you know, in the past few weeks. So what if it is something that's changed and it is getting bad? I don't know. But yeah, this is the first day that I felt well enough to do a video this long. And I haven't been able to do much art. I managed to prime the panel that I want to do for my next artwork, but I've got like a month to get this done and it's quite big, and I'm just like, I'm gonna have to submit half-finished work. It'll be abstract, so they won't know it's not finished, and then when I get it back, assuming no one buys it half-finished, which would be embarrassing, but if, you know, assuming no one buys it, I can take it and then finish it at home after the exhibition, which would be stupid, but anyway, you gotta do what you gotta do, you gotta work within your limits. I haven't been able to do any music, I've hardly been able to sing, I've spent way too much time in bed, I haven't done any bonsai, I've barely managed to keep up with even watering them, like, this is really fucking with my life. And so if I'm making less videos, that's probably why. If I'm posting less Instagram, well, I was always shit at that anyway, but that would be another reason why. And if there are other things you expect to see of me online, and I'm not doing enough, that's probably why. Now, how will you know that I'm still alive? Is there a system I should post? Maybe I could post in like my Patreon chat, so at least my cult members will know I'm still alive? Or should I have a more public signal? I don't know. I do post a lot of stories on Instagram though, or on my personal Facebook page, which you can follow publicly. I don't really post so much on my artist page on Facebook, because Facebook's, they're just so stupid. They're trying to make money, so they nerf your reach. And then wonder why no one uses the platform anymore. Meanwhile, you've got garbage like TikTok, where people go viral for the dumbest things and people get so much attention, and of course more people use that then, or more kids do anyway. You're not gonna get me on that. But anyway, sorry, that was a Facebook rant. I should stop this because we're getting up to an hour and the dog wants to go to bed and I need to go to bed, and I don't think I'm gonna get this video up tonight probably. If I'm sensible, I'll just go to bed. Maybe I have to do that. Anyway, so for reference, today is the 6th of January, in case I don't get this live tonight, which is quite likely. Or if I do, I just won't put any... What if I put no description, no tags, no metadata? I could do that. We could see how that goes. I could just stop caring. It's like, you know... I'm just so used to, like, YouTube gives you all this stuff in the back end, and I'm a completionist, so I feel like I have to fill up all the tags and all that. Not for algorithm reasons, not because I expect my content to take off, but just because I'm me, and it's a task, and you can't just give me a task and expect me not to do it. If you've seen, by the way, speaking of tasks that I've taken way too seriously, if you've seen my FemMetal playlist, I was involved in voting for like the original nominations, and so I had to actually look up who these people were that I'm putting my votes for to get them properly nominated. And I have not been in the loop with the music scene broadly. Like the local music scene I've kept tabs on this year, last year, whatever, but the international music scene, there've been a few years where I was just too depressed and too busy with life and just fell out of the whole music thing. So actually being asked to do that was really good for me, because I found so much cool music. I'm not a fan of everything in that playlist, but there's some really good stuff in there. FemMetal, I should probably put a link somewhere, so I probably should do all the metadata just so you have a link in the description at the very least. But yeah, if you can go and vote now for like the best female including band or the best female vocalist and all these kinds of things. You can go and vote for that now, and if you don't know who any of them are, I have the playlist for you, so you can find out, and you can see some new women in heavy music stuff. Yeah, so that's what that is, and I, you know, when they asked me to do it, they were saying, like, you know, most people probably just vote for what they already know, you know, if you've heard of it, and they must be good, right? But no, me, I'm like, no, I need to know what every single one of them is, so that I make proper choices instead of just guessing. And yeah, so I went and looked up every single pre-nominee to be able to nominate who gets into the next round, and then now we're up to the proper voting stage. So yeah, I take things way too seriously. That's me. I'm a high achiever. It's probably a glass child thing. I hate doing a half job, so that's probably why this video is going to take forever. Okay, we're up to an hour, so I know. Such a cutie. Yes. Good boy. Hop up. Hop up. Come up here. Yeah, kiss. Such a cutie. He's been so patient. Alright. So those are my health issues. At least I think I've covered anything. And I don't know, if you want me to give proof that I'm alive, give me some ideas on, like, the best way to do that in the comments, if you're not too shy. And we'll see what happens. And I'm hoping today I have had some warning signs that I might get a migraine, but, like, I feel okay, so I feel like I'm not going to, but that could be, like, it's been so unpredictable. I feel like I'm doing okay, and then the next day it'll be a migraine again, and so I'm just like, I'm not sure how I'm going to function tomorrow. I already missed most of Christmas. I had to go home early from the Christmas shindig. It was just like, it was so echoey and loud, and food was taking forever, so when a lift was offered for me to go home, I was like, yeah, take me home, and I went straight to bed pretty much. So yeah, my life is just, it just sucks right now with this pain, and yeah, 2026, off to an amazing start. You want to see some fun stuff that I haven't had a chance to put up here, go and check out my Instagram. I wrote, like, a quest list, unless I can, like, figure out where I saved it and find it for you now, but was it on my desktop? My quest list? There it is. Oh, I don't have to make it big enough for you to see it. Yay! Yeah, have a look at that for a moment, and I will just drop down here and we can put some cards up. Other stuff you should watch, and, like, subscribe and join my cult. The only thing better than a charismatic... Am I charismatic? Okay, the only thing better than a crazy cult leader is a dead crazy cult leader, so join the cult while you still have the chance before it really takes off as, like, the next Scientology. Oh, I'm sure it's not that bad. But,